After 6 years of marriage, my wife proposed we open our marriage, so I filed for divorce and blocked her access to my $112,000 pay. I, age 37, have been married to Karen, age 39, for 6 years and known her for 10. I serve in the Marine Corps as a logistics officer, and I am deployed for 6 to 7 months each. My job pays well, approximately $120,000 with benefits and combat pay, which allows us to live comfortably. In 2014, we met through mutual acquaintances at a cookout. I was already in the Marines, and she was an elementary school teacher who earned around $45,000 per year. She seemed different from the other ladies I had dated. She understood the military lifestyle because her father had served for 25 years. She was self-sufficient, had her own career, and did not desire me solely for the advantages. Unlike several military wives, after 4 years of dating, we married in a beautiful ceremony in front of friends and family. Her father, a veteran himself, was pleased to welcome another military man into the first several years were excellent. Karen was encouraging about my job and proud of my service, and we made the most of our time together while I was home. During deployments, she kept busy teaching, going to her book club, and spending time with military wives who understood her situation. We established a routine weekly video dates, care packages, and occasional visits while I was at. I even bought her a 4-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood near her school, replaced her car every few years, and made sure she had all she needed. She always felt the deployments were worthwhile, and she was happy to be a military spouse. We discussed having children, but agreed to wait until I could obtain a desk job, because she didn't want to raise them alone for half the year. Life seemed wonderful until everything changed. Karen began spending more time with a new set of yoga class acquaintances, most of whom were single women or divorced mothers from her school. She shared photos of their girls' nights out at upscale restaurants and clubs, places we used to frequent. I didn't think much of it, believing she'd be busy while I was away. She began to care more about her looks, purchasing nice clothes, having her hair done frequently, and joined a gym with a personal trainer. I assumed she was rewarding herself with the money I made. Looking back, all of these were red signs. During a normal video call date night, Karen suddenly exclaimed, "Let's open our marriage." I thought she was kidding, but she was dead serious. When I questioned what was going on, she replied she had been thinking about it for a time and felt it was best for us. She asserted that no woman could control her cravings for 6 months and that she was tired of dealing with deployments. She had been living a single life much of the time, desiring closeness. I felt awful about how she reduced our marriage to nothing more than sex after 10 years together, 6 of them married. She surprised me with this. I tried to remain cool and thanked her for everything she did to keep us going. I informed her that the distance was part of my profession, which we both agreed upon when we met. We discussed transferring to a desk job, but the chances hadn't come up, and I really enjoyed what I did. Karen was aware of this and seemed to agree with it, at least until recently. She became irritated when I attempted to have a sensible debate. I proposed we discuss it later when we were both calmer, but she insisted on settling it right now. She complained about being lonely, spending birthdays and anniversaries alone, and going to doctor's visits by herself. She began crying while discussing all of this. Look, I understand it's difficult. I miss a lot of key moments too, but what am I expected to do? This was exactly what she signed up for when she married me. When we initially married, many people advised us to have a child to keep her occupied during deployments, but Karen was not ready to be a single parent for half the year, and I agreed it wasn't fair to dump that responsibility on her, so we decided not to have children until I got a desk job. Now I'm wondering if that decision worsened her loneliness. Still, opening the marriage, that's not right. I inquired whether she was breaking up with me. She responded, "No, I love you. I could never leave you. I want to grow old with you, but I'm about to turn 40, and in a few more years I'll hit menopause. I have so little time to enjoy my sexuality. Half of my golden years are going just waiting for you. I don't want that. I want to live a fulfilling life and not die with regret." She had never discussed sex in such detail during our relationship. We always had a strong physical connection when I was home. Sure, we used toys and video conversations to keep close throughout deployments, but she never complained that it wasn't enough. I could see this talk wasn't going well. She wasn't asking for permission, she was telling me what she planned to do. "What exactly do you want?" I inquired, despite my fear of hearing the truth. She stared at me through the screen and said, "I want to open this marriage and meet other men. I have needs, and they must be met. I'm doing this whether you like it or not." The lady I married who pledged to remain faithful through everything, was sitting there telling me she was going to sleep with other males, and there was nothing I could do about it. I tried to remain calm, even though I wanted to strike something. "So, you want to sleep with other men while still being married to me?" I said. When she nodded, I asked how this would help her loneliness. Would these random males care for her while she was sick or celebrate her birthday? She stated she wasn't sure if it would be physical or if she would date them, but whatever happened, she loved me and only me. They'd only be fillers while I was gone. When I get home, she will be all mine, as if I'm supposed to be okay with sharing my wife for half of the year. Then I questioned how long this would last, a few years or forever. She had not made a decision. I questioned if she had already cheated on me. She snapped, "If I wanted to cheat, I wouldn't be having this conversation." She thought being honest about wanting to sleep with other males was preferable to lying about it. There's some warped logic there. I inquired whether I had any say in this. She claimed her mind was made up. If she didn't do this, she would go insane. My head was throbbing. I informed her that I needed time to consider. She simply hung up without saying goodbye. What makes the situation even more messed up, I just left home 3 or 4 weeks ago, after 3 months together. Throughout my absence, everything appeared to be in order. We flew to Hawaii for our second honeymoon, fixed up the house as she requested, and even discussed eventually trying for a baby next. She was very lovey-dovey the entire time, always discussing our future together. The day I left, she was grieving and making preparations for my next. We had even started saving money for our future child. I was looking for opportunities at the nearby base, so I could spend more time at home. That's how committed we were to starting a family. When I inquired the next day why she didn't bring it up while I was there, she stated she didn't feel the need for other males around me. That's when something clicked. She's undoubtedly met someone in her new gym or through those single buddies. The timing was quite convenient just before I left. She highlighted a new personal trainer at her gym who was really inspiring and had been giving her extra attention. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the way she pushed for it shortly after I left made it seem planned. Part of me wanted to believe it was just about loneliness, but I'm not that gullible. My friend, Brian, went through something similar last year. His wife requested an open marriage during his deployment, but he found out she was already dating someone they are now divorced. I questioned Karen again if this was really what she wanted, if she had considered what it would mean for us and our future plan. She replied yes without hesitation, as if the 3 months we spent planning our lives together mattered nothing. I decided to really push her on the details, not because I was considering it, but to understand her faulty logic. I inquired about the setting. Could I see other women? How would we handle the money? Her response demonstrated how selfish this whole situation was. She claimed she hadn't considered that far ahead. She merely wanted someone to look after her needs while I was away, but when I returned it would be just us two. She stated I could try stuff on PO days, but I couldn't see other ladies at home because she would be there. According to her excellent idea, we'd see how it goes and possibly end the marriage once she'd finished. I had had enough. Look, this isn't what I signed up for. I wanted a monogamous marriage, but since you've made up your mind, I won't stop you. Just remember, I'm not going to sit here and take it. There will be consequences. She had the audacity to ask what I was going to do about it. I quietly informed her, first, she'd have to cover her own expenses, no more money in our joint. Second, we'd sever all communication. I didn't want calls or texts when she was occupied with her business. Third, I might start seeing other women with no restrictions from. She laughed and said she knew I'd come along, that she was excited and that it would be enjoyable. Then she said, "I know you won't go too far. How can you leave such a ravishing beauty?" and began removing her clothes. I shut that down quickly. My conditions begin today. Have fun. Then I hung up. That was it. I stopped caring about her. She attempted to reach out, but I ignored everything. She began uploading obvious date night and vacation shots without revealing the guys. But come on a hot tub selfie with rose petals candles and 2 wine glasses, it's not hard to figure out what's happening. Her sister texted to ask if I knew what Karen was doing. I told her straight out Karen started the marriage without my permission because she is lonely between her legs. Karen blew up my phone after that, but I didn't care. My next shore leave begins next week. I already have my brother looking for an apartment. I told him and my parents the entire story. I also hired a lawyer to begin work on my case. I'm not hurrying anything. I want to do this right and aim to make her regret her decision. I will provide an update during my absence or when I return. If you've read this far, I appreciate it. Update 1. I need to address something quickly before getting into what happened. Everyone seems to sympathize with military women. Poor thing has to live alone, even though she's married, or what about her needs? And so on. Then they stare at me as if I'm the terrible guy for not understanding her circumstance. Yes, everything people say about it being difficult is correct, but nobody compelled her to marry me. She lives in our 4-bedroom house with a pool, which she could never afford as a teacher's salary. She drives a new BMW I bought for Christmas last year, carries Louis Vuitton luggage, and wears a Cartier watch that costs more than her monthly salary. Every summer we take a vacation in Europe or the Caribbean. She has her hair done at luxury salons, attends yoga retreats, and never has to worry about bills. But it's funny how no one discusses these privileges when they're feeling sorry for her. She was living like a queen on my wages and complained about being lonely. Let me tell you something, keeping faithful isn't easy for us either. We travel across the world, stop at various ports, and have access to almost any luxury we desire. At the harbor, beautiful women are throwing themselves at soldiers in Europe. The majority of them do not care if you're married. My friends joke that I could have a girlfriend in every country if I wanted, but I've always remained faithful since that's what marriage means. Some of us continue to be faithful to our wives, but no one recognizes our effort. They just presume that all military personnel cheat. Now, for what transpired during my life. I did not return to our residence. I couldn't bear the thought of being in the same bed as her other male partners. My brother had secured me an apartment in one of the town's new luxury towers. I spent the first few days with him and his family. My sister-in-law was upset when she learned what Karen did. They used to be good friends. I brought my niece and nephew camping for the weekend, something I'd been promising them for years. The kids were asking where Aunt Karen was, and I felt terrible having to make up explanations. Then I spent time with my parents in our hometown and caught up with old acquaintances, all of whom claimed they had never trusted Karen. I shared everything on social media, not to be petty, but to show her that I wasn't sitting around depressed without her. My shore leave usually consists of these high-profile military parties, fancy gatherings held at 5-star hotels that Karen always enjoyed attending. Not everyone is invited to these events. It's largely top commanders and their wives, politicians, and prominent citizens in town. These parties were significant for her social standing. She enjoyed showing off her beautiful outfits and attracting attention. I made sure to publish a lot of photos, including ones of female co-workers who were far more successful than her doctors, lawyers, and company owners. When people inquired about Karen, I just told them the truth. She wanted an open marriage to screw about while I was gone. Word traveled quickly in our community, and all the military ladies who used to kiss her, but began unfriending her. When she first saw my family photos online, she simply texted me asking where I was staying and why I wasn't at home. Then she switched to, "Okay, I'll give you space, I'll wait for you," as if she was doing me a favor. However, when she saw the party photos, she lost it. She began contacting me about how I abandoned her, wondering if we hadn't agreed to be normal when I got home. She started messaging me at 2 a.m. about how much she missed our life together and how all these other guys didn't matter. I did not respond to any of it. After months of silence, I eventually said, "I never agreed to this. You did what you wanted. Now I'm doing what I want." She responded with some gibberish about waiting for me to come back when I'm done, as if I were a child acting. She truly believed she could simply stop our marriage while she had her pleasure and then resume when she was finished exploring. A few months later, she contacted me expressing a need to discuss the terms of our open marriage, as if we could sit down over coffee and arrange when she could cheat. I shut it down quickly. "Do whatever you want. I'm not playing this game." My lawyer told me to make a record of all these communications since they would be useful in the divorce. Then she saw me living my best life and sent me emails saying, "Let's go back to normal. I'm done with this," as if she could simply flick a switch and everything would be fine. She wrote a lengthy email about how she made a mistake, how none of these other guys made her feel the same way I did, and how she recognized what she was missing. She stated that she would do anything to save our marriage. I simply said, and went on with my day. My mother, who hasn't spoken to Karen since this incident, said at best she didn't expect you to choose your dignity over her. Karen unexpectedly dropped by my apartment one. I have no idea who told her where I live. I shared my address with close family and a few trusted pals. Someone must have snitched, but I don't want to know who at this. I was getting ready to go for a workout when I heard a knock. She looked totally different from when I left. She had lost weight, colored her hair blonde, and was wearing a tight outfit she had never worn before. She stood there nervous and asked why I wasn't staying at our house. I told her straight out that I had no intention of living with someone who disrespected our marriage. She didn't like that response at all. "I thought we could figure this out," she replied, as if we were having a little argument over which color to paint the kitchen. I just looked at her and said, "You made your choice now. I'm making mine." She burst into tears and told me how everyone in our social circle was ignoring her. None of my friends' spouses spoke to her anymore. These were women who used to be her best pals. They'd go shopping together, take spa days, and organize dinner parties they wanted nothing to do. All those lavish parties she enjoyed, nobody invited her anymore. It turns out that being known as the wife who started her marriage while her spouse was deployed has a negative impact on status. "What do you want then?" she inquired through tears. I just answered, "You'll find out soon enough." She looked concerned and added, "You met someone, right? You love her, don't you? Are you seeing her?" I couldn't help but laugh. She was the one who wanted to see other people, but suddenly she was jealous of the idea of me with someone else. She continued to beg for answers, but I had had enough. I just cried, "Get out," and she went claiming I'd regret betraying her trust. The irony of the sentence. My lawyer had already prepared the divorce paperwork. I planned to have her served once I returned to sea, so she wouldn't come crying into my apartment again. She wanted to open things up fine. I was about to initiate divorce proceedings. My attorney served her on the day I left the shore. She contacted me in a frenzy, shouting about how I had betrayed her and left her broken, as if she were the victim in all of this. Then she called my lawyer and said she would fight the divorce until the end and would not let me go, as if she had a choice in the matter. She also tried to play the victim role with my parents, calling them and wailing about how I'd taken her by surprise and how she had no idea what was coming. That backfired very quickly. They already knew everything and told her just how they felt about her behavior. They promptly blocked her number. Then her mother called me. Laren has been telling everyone that we had agreed to open our marriage. She had convinced her entire family that this was a mutual decision. Her mother said they felt it was strange, but assumed it was our personal choice. I shut that down quickly. "No way. I already told your other daughter the truth months ago. I was never on board with this filthy idea of hers." Her mother began talking about how Karen's mental health was deteriorating because everyone had cut her off all those beautiful gatherings she used to like. Nobody invites her anymore. The other officer wives refused to speak to her. Her mother truly expected me to feel horrible about this. I thought to myself, why would my friends keep inviting her when she's not even my wife anymore? "Is there any chance you could work things out?" her mother inquired. I chuckled and replied, "Not at all. I can't be the husband of a woman who has kept her legs open for tourists for the last year. Who knows what kind of dirt has gone in there." It was harsh, but I wanted them to know how I felt about their lovely daughter's behavior. Karen's mother indicated she wasn't ready for divorce. I was upfront with her. The longer she fights this, the worse it'll be. I'm moving forward with my life whether she likes it or not, so she better cooperate for her own sake. Karen has now bombarded my phone with texts and voicemails. She begs, pleads, and promises to change, stating she will do anything to make things right. I have not blocked her yet. Perhaps this is selfish, but I want her to see exactly what she tossed away. I'll block her eventually, but for the time being, I'm letting her suffer as much as I did when she sprung her open marriage on me. Update 2. Here's the latest update. I'm enjoying a shore break again. Divorce procedures are underway, and Karen has been fighting hard against them, not because she wants to heal things, but because her perfect little plan is unraveling. However, she's now absolutely broke. That shiny new world of freedom she desired so much, it turns out it wasn't as glamorous as she imagined. All those guys she was going out with, they merely wanted to have fun with a married woman. They all left when the money ran out. She literally burst into tears in front of the magistrate and stated that opening the marriage was a mistake. She now wishes she could simply rewind the past year and have everything return to normal. After I denied her access to our joint account, she depleted her funds in an attempt to maintain her lifestyle. Within a year, she'd gotten through everything. Her teacher's paycheck barely covers rent now, let alone the fashionable outfits she's grown accustomed to. That's the problem about living large. Once you're acclimated to it, there's no turning back. When she first disclosed the marriage and I withdrew my money, she assumed it was only temporary. She assumed she could rely on her savings until I came to my senses and began subsidizing her lifestyle. That was her wonderful plan: be a faithful wife during my breaks and then go crazy while I'm overseas. Her strategy failed miserably. She begs for another opportunity at each court session, saying, "Let's start over." It's easy for her to say. She wasn't the only one who had to deal with shame and trauma. Do you know what truly gets me? She purposefully dropped the open marriage notion just before my deployment began, leaving herself 6 months to do anything she wanted before I returned. Those first months at sea were terrible. You're stuck out there with nothing but the ocean around, no distractions, just staring at the water, thinking about what's going on at home. Sometimes the dark thoughts are really unpleasant. I can't express how difficult it was to keep myself together. Anyway, the divorce is virtually complete, just one more court date. Even though she is dissatisfied, the asset distribution has been settled and is fair. I'm selling my house. I can't bear the thought of remaining in a place where she wrecked our marriage. She can't buy me out since she can't afford half the price. That's fine with me. I don't want to cling on to anything from that existence. I truly enjoy my new life. I'm doing better than ever. I've met new people, established a strong routine, and feel free to live my life the way I want. I'm not bitter about what happened. Honestly, I'm glad I didn't let her decisions ruin my future. I'm not looking to date right now, but I'm open to anything that comes along. I've blocked Karen on all of my social media sites, but she keeps creating new profiles to stalk me. I can see them easily, but I let her know exactly what she gave up. Her Instagram used to be all about extravagant parties, exotic travels, and beach photos. Now, it's only melancholy statements about regret and second chances. I suppose that's what happens when you mess up a good thing. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening.